I run this business development agency and we have a lot of clients in enterprise and technology markets. And we see with these clients and with prospects that they get confused about what marketing is to an extent and how to apply AI into their marketing plans and how to do marketing in general. And the main topic that we found a lot of people struggle with is the application of AI in online marketing, and then with our specific focus being technical and enterprise markets, right? So we go and we talk to our prospects, we talk to our clients, and there's a lot of agencies, consultants, LinkedIn thought leaders, YouTubers, whatever, that are trying to push a certain idea onto a market about how to apply AI, and they build all these lead magnets, and all of that is great. However, the problem then becomes for many people in this specific market, technical or something technical and enterprise based, that they don't know why AI is useful to them, and they just look at all of these growth hacks about how to grow business or how to run AI into a certain funnel or how to apply AI to in marketing. But the beauty of this whole thing is that AI is not really the mode, actually. It's more about can we apply AI in what we are already doing or what our industry is supposed to be doing as far as online marketing. AI itself is not that interesting in a weird way. So if we go and look at our way of acquiring clients, if we look at acquisition, there's four ways in which we can do that. We can look at paid ads, content, outbound, and referrals. Referrals is a bit limited, I would say, in an enterprise market, but there's a lot you can do with it nonetheless. There's not so much you can do with AI in it necessarily, but what you can mostly use AI for is paid ads, content, and outbound as strategies on a high level. There's still like many ways in which you can do content, many ways in which you can do outbound, many ways in which you can do paid ads, platforms you can use, but those being the main buckets in which we can do marketing. What people tend to do is they just forget about the whole framework behind marketing or the way in which they do acquisition, and they just go and look at technology. Because you're a technical firm, you have technical people, you are tech enabled, so your sales team or even you yourself is looking at which tools can we use, right? And to an extent, there doesn't have to be much wrong with that because you're just trying to explore different things. But a lot of time can be lost within this process because you could instead look at what is our strategy and how can we apply tools within that. And so if we go and look at what are all the tools that we can use, that's great. Only the moment you actually know what the strategy is that you're applying to your market to acquire clients, right? And then it becomes interesting about what the tools are. The moment you go on LinkedIn or you go on YouTube or you go and do whatever about which tools, you're not going to get anywhere because you'll figure out that there's no strategy behind what you're doing, and instead you're just looking about the technology that we are applying in marketing. What AI tools can we use? Can we use ChatGPT to do better SEO? Sure, you can, and any tool can be useful in a way. But first, you need to dial in what is our exact marketing strategy, and then look at the technology, and AI in this case, on how to enable what is already working in your market. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to use what's been given to you and then apply AI to scale the operation. That's really the beauty of AI. It's enabling you to do better what you were already supposed to be doing. And so the people already taking the right approach as far as marketing are going to get way ahead of people who are doing the wrong things or spending time on researching tools and such, because these people are already applying an acquisition funnel that is like consistent. And that is what is relevant in especially technical and enterprise markets, is the consistency. So the two ways in which we do it as our agency and the way in which we apply this for clients is actually pretty simple. For one, we build pipeline, and two, we help them build authority. I'll break that down in a bit more detail, but this goes for any given market realistically. You need to build pipeline and you need to build authority. Even if you have like a shoe store, those are things you do. Maybe pipeline is not really something that you think about all of these buying stages, but to an extent, those are the two things that you can really look at and that you can reasonably measure and make improvements to. So that's the lens I like to look at it through. Is just, can we build pipeline and how? And how can we build more pipeline in particular? How are we building pipeline? And then look about how can we apply AI in all of the steps that we take within building pipeline and within building authority. So we use tools for this. Don't get me wrong, we use a lot of tools. However, we are reasoning from the first principle of acquiring clients, and we're not reasoning from the first principle of what is the nicest, coolest technology to do content with. We are looking at, okay, how can we build pipeline for one? So the way in which we do it is we track all signals online, we map accounts of relevant signals, we enrich those accounts with the decision makers, their LinkedIn profiles, their emails. We write copy as far as messages that we want to reach with them, that we want to send them and reach them with. We push, in some cases, if we have a lot of people in the same type of buying role or the same type of job title, the same type of role, let's say, we can push them into a campaign as well. Or we just do account execution and we kind of reach each of them with a more personalized message. But AI is very useful in each of these steps. So in the signals, in the account mapping, in the enrichment, in the copywriting, in the campaign, even in the tracking and interpreting the analytics, there's a lot we can do with AI. And there's a lot we can automate with follow-ups. So is it really about AI? It's more so about what tools do we have and what infrastructure do we need to build pipeline. So we've built our own delivery platform for this actually, and just integrated all the tools that we were using so that we only look at one place and don't have to open all of these tabs, right? But again, you get the idea. We built an integrated system of how to do pipeline building effectively and what steps we need to take in that and how AI is useful within that whole process. It's a very simple way of navigating things. So we can highly scale cold email. We can highly scale cold email copywriting. We can highly scale the campaigns. We can highly scale the enrichment. Like there's so much leverage that we got through building that infrastructure that any SDR can just use the platform and we can probably serve 5 times more clients, do 5 times more outreach, serve 5 times as many markets, reach as much as we like, as opposed to how much one SDR could do manually or with one tool. So that's the better way of reasoning. It's just what are the moving parts within the way in which we do our marketing, in this case in building pipeline, that we need in order to scale our marketing to more volume and more quality. So that's what we use. We use AI in pretty much every single step within building pipeline. One very specific thing that we found works much better now, because you also see any market is flooded with AI, because the truth is also that AI is commoditized, right? So everybody gets AI outreach messages and gets more of them. It becomes easier to send outreach. It also becomes easier to send decent outreach. So the quality is in a way going up and the competition is getting harder. It also becomes harder to do it more effectively at the same time, because again, the competition gets harder. So the quality as a market goes up, but the way you differentiate yourself will change or will be harder to do. So you need a bit of creativity in a way, not to be like an artsy guy. I'm not. But you need a bit of creativity in the way in which you do your marketing. So the mode is not so much in the way in which you build pipeline itself and applying AI into that, although that can already make a huge difference, depending on how sophisticated your competitors are with this. The mode can also be a second phase, which is where we go back from all that we can do with AI to all that we cannot do with AI, which is, in a way, you can still do a lot with AI, don't get me wrong, but building authority where it's not AI-led or AI native, but it's actually idea native, it's more human native, it's more client native in a way. So the way in which you build authority, in my perception, is by posting and using content, right? So if we build pipeline and we see all of the people end up picking a different competitors of ours, or they pick a different approach, they end up not picking us pretty much, or they stall in like a late stage in the pipeline, or we don't even get any replies in the first place. This might be the thing we need to look at. We might need to look at, okay, what is our position in the market as far as authority? How do we rank in SEO and AEO? How do we rank in AI? That's AI engine optimization, right? How do we rank in those search engines? Do we have case studies? Do we do webinars and events? Do people trust us? Do people know us? And why do they know us? Do they know us for being the better option, or do they know us in a bad perception? Do we have case studies slash some type of reviews, right? And all of that information is people's lens, people's buying lens effectively for reviewing you versus a competitor. Of course, a big part of this is just how long have you been in business, but a very big part of this as well is just how accessible do you make all of this information to people who are searching you up online. So your online footprint, your digital authority, your case studies, webinars, video material, LinkedIn, SEO, and AEO is very important as a secondary metric to your pipeline, because it's going to not only help you fill your pipeline, it's also going to help you convert your pipeline. So I see it as a secondary thing, because the first step is just building pipeline in the first place. You'll get feedback much quicker than when you post content, in my perception, in most markets. But again, this is another very important step. So that's another thing that we help clients do. What can you really do to build authority? That's what a lot of people struggle with as well, because here you can think about AI writing your content, AI generating your creatives. That all matters. That all can be useful. Again, it's like reasoning from the tools. But what is the reason people buy your product is like the main thing that you build authority with, right? So the first thing you actually want to do is you want to go to your clients and you want to go to procurement tenders. You want to look at the buying decision framework that your clients have. So in many cases, you'll see this in an RFP. Use that information to and use the actual buying decision framework that you may have been provided by a party, a government, a construction firm, whatever, on buying your solution as opposed to a competitor, which you can get from an interview when making a case study, and use that information to create content out of. So this is not something AI can come up with, right? The beauty of pipeline and building pipeline is that AI can help you find the signals that you need. With building authority, AI cannot help you find the signals that you need. This actually requires a real human interaction and real feedback from the actual client, the actual prospect. That feedback you can repackage into content, and repackaging that feedback into content, you'll be able to write the best LinkedIn posts that really speak to your ICP, because again, your ICP is just the prospects that are just like your existing clients, right? And if your existing client gives you the input for your content, you have the perfect content. You can use AI to scale it, however. So AI is great for helping you make more blog posts or helping you find the missing blog posts. There's many ways in which, again, you can use tools and apply tools for this, but you want to first look at what is the main reason for people to buy our solution, as opposed to a competitor in particular. It's another thing to do webinars and events. So this combination is in particular what I really, really believe in, because again, everybody's going to be able to apply AI in content and in outreach. So that's not going to help you necessarily make a difference in your market. But the moment you have event recordings, you've done webinars, you've got video material, you post on LinkedIn, and you have case studies, you actually make, and you do some work on your SEO, AEO. This all kind of it reinforces each other. So you just need some structure to do all of it pretty much. This will be great. The beauty of this, and what I usually start with when we are working with clients, is we do a campaign to build pipeline in given markets that they're primarily operating in. And we put all of the effort towards that one ICP, and we ask them, do they want to join the webinar in 2 months? Or that might be a secondary ask. We just want them on calls ultimately. But it's much easier to get them on the webinar. The reply rates genuinely skyrocket. So there's a little insight for you. That information we grab, we create campaigns out of. We, again, ideally, we make the webinar based on a joint venture. So we do the webinar along with a client or partner of ours that also has interesting insights, so that we come across more of a industry authority than just a vendor. And people will say yes. You'll just ask people pretty much, if you do the campaign properly, if they want the link to that webinar, they'll ask you for the link to that webinar or what the price is. You just tell them that it's free and they can go to that webinar. Again, you can do it with an event as well, but a webinar is a very easy way to do it because you don't have to get everybody into some venue. It depends on your market. It depends on your market. But again, webinar is a great way to do this. We've done this with clients. We've seen 100 people from a government market on a webinar. That's like unheard of. Nobody really gets that. We get reply rates that are like 3 to 5 times market standard. Also unheard of. So the beauty is that you don't necessarily just do outreach the way everybody does outreach and the way that everybody does outreach based on AI. But you also have that human touch because you invite people to a webinar where they will see your face or your team's face. They'll actually talk to them, or maybe an event, and there will still be that human touch, which is invaluable in enterprise. Like, you need that. You can't do without that. So this is how we do marketing and we apply AI in online marketing in technical and enterprise markets. I hope this has been a useful video. If so, you can go to our website. There will be a link in the comments or in the description. And you can follow us, book in a call with me if you like. And we can go over if this indeed applies to your market or if there's a different strategy that applies to your market. And then we can talk about the technology and the tools that might be useful in doing all that. But you waste a lot of time if you're just going to look at the tools and reason from there. So we want to reason from the strategy, not from the tools. Anyhow, I'm repeating myself. Hope it's been a useful video. See you in another one. Peace. Bye.